Hi everyone, it's me, Sailor Moon, Serena here, or Serena Sakino, and today, or Serena Kemble, and today we're talk about uh, some of the evildoers in Sailor Moon. Now, we already know about the Dark Kingdom and the Dark Moonkin, and we already know about the Dead Moon. We already know about, you know, the Death Blasters, also known as the Team of Bad Behavior. We also know about the Dead Moon Big Top, or whatever Galaxia's team was known. Today, we're going to talk about the Amazon Trio, or the Strong Woman 3. Why were they called that? Now, in Sailor Moon, Tiger's Eye started out as a tiger. Or he could have started, yeah, he started out as a tiger. Spent most of his life as a tiger until one day some some might was given to him and made him manlike. We also know that Hawkeye started out as a hawk. How old he was, we don't really know. They were really past, they must have been old because they must have been kind of old. The next one was Fish Eye, who started out as a fish, and there was might that made them man-like and woman-like. Now, they did have feelings, and they did have thoughts, and they did have moods, and they did have souls because they were living beings. But the one thing they didn't have were dreams, and since they were none man-like, none woman-like beings, they didn't have any dreams or any goals or whatever. And they were most likely already old by the time that this spell was put on them. Now, Queen Helena and Zirconia were the ones that said they did the spell on them, but I don't really believe so. But that's the one they believed they did it. So their work was to go after men and women looking in their dreams, looking for Helios, also known as Pegasus or the winged horse. So they could get him. So Queen Helena, if I can never say her can never say her name right. You'd think after all these years I could say her name right, but I cannot. Could get the golden hearse which was in his horn. Now, every time they would pick someone, it would end up being that this man or woman did not have the dream they were looking for. And over time, they started to wonder, why were they doing this to folks for? And started to wonder, why did they even need to go look for Helios for? It all really came to an end when Fisheye chose Darien as a goal and started to really feel sorry that she didn't have a dream, because Darien had a dream and I had a dream. I befriended her when she was out, when it was raining, and asked her why did she want to be around Darien and what was her dream. And I said my dream was to be, and I told her what my dream was, or dreams were. And she did not, she was unhappy because she didn't have a dream. Well, she seeked it out Rini, but you see, Zirconia and Queen Helena weren't being fully truthful you know, about things. They sent them on their last goal. I was the last goal that was set by Hawkeye, but his heart wasn't really into it at the end. Queen Helena sent another fiend to look inside of my dream, and my dream mirror was broken. Only it got healed by God. And then that's when Tiger's Eye and Hawk's Eye and Fish Eye wanted to choose to be good. And they wanted to be man-like. They wanted to be woman-like. They wanted to have a dream like all beings were. And they died helping us. The clown ended up killing Hawkeye. Tiger's Eye and Fisheye would also die too, due to them being old, due to them being really old by the time. We don't know how old they were, but we'll just say that they didn't really live that long. Only at the end, God and Jesus chose to bring them back to life and gave them dreams. So then they were fully man-like, woman-like, because not only did they have a soul or feelings or moods or selves, they now had dreams and goals now. And that's the last that we ever see them. And now I know in the books they were handled a little unlike, and they did not get their seek to atone. They were killed off early, in the book, believe it or not. So they didn't get that atonement that happened to them. And that's the same thing that happened in Hurt and Forever. They did not get that atonement that they got, that they got in Sailor Moon S. Now you start to wonder, was there really unlikenesses between how they were handled in Pioneer Glee and how they're handled in Viz Glee? Really, I think they were handled the same way, to be earnest with you. At the end of the day, they weren't bad at all. They didn't at first they didn't really understand why they were doing what they were doing. They just knew they had to do it. They didn't really mean to harm anyone. And we never did get to see them again after that. So your guess is good of mine of how things went. So that's just me talking about, Tiger's Eye, Hawkeye, and Fisheye, which were the Pioneer Glee names for them. The Viz name for them was just, Tiger's Eye or Fish's Eye or Hawk's Eyes. Not really much of an unlikeness between the names, though. But just talking about them, because I don't think they get talked about all that much. I mean, yes. Jadeite, Nephite, Zoisite, and Malachite get talked about a lot. And sometimes even Ruvius and Emerald and Avery and Catsy and Birdie and Charisma, and Catsy get talked about. And hell, even sometimes the Four Witches kind of get talked about too. But I don't really think the Amazon Trio or the Strong Woman 3 get talked about. Hell, to be honest with you, I don't think that the Amazon Quartet or the Strong Woman 4 get talked about, or 5 get talked about that much. So tell me what you think about that. And give this film a like, share and playlist it, and I'll see you later.